Good morning, everyone. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Happy rainy Wednesday to you, and I hope you're all doing great. If you can hear me, please kindly put a thumbs up so that I can know that we're following. It's an amazing month, and we've come to another webinar series from Kimberly Ryan. This one happens to be, yes, thank you very much. This one would be very engaging. I mean, everybody likes to hear about employee well-being, employee experiences, a thriving workforce. Don't worry, we got you, we got you. So for today, my name is Esther. I'm gonna be your host. Privileged to be doing this, yes. Thank you. So our title for today is um, elevating employee experiences, well-being, and a thriving workforce, which is actually very pivotal to the times that we're in. And at the end of this lesson, or the webinar rather, we should be able to understand the link between employee well-being and business performances, identify key drivers of a positive employee experience, explore practical strategies for improving employee well-being, develop sustainable initiatives for a thriving workforce. So yeah, this is what we should learn at the end of this webinar, which promises to be enlightening, by the way. So housekeeping rules, kindly mute your mic unless you have a question. And even if you do have a question, please kindly give a thumbs up or just raise your hand, something will reach out to you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And so we're going to get into our speakers for today. We have two amazing speakers. The first one we have is Adedayo Olorebi. He's the learning and development consultant with Kimberly Ryan, and is going to be our facilitator for today. One of our facilitators, actually, he's a passionate learning professional dedicated to helping individuals and organizations unlock their full potentials. He has successfully designed, managed, and deployed learning interventions across Africa, delivering impactful training programs through virtual, physical, and hybrid formats. His expertise spans training needs analysis, instructional design, curriculum development, competency mapping, stakeholder engagement, and learning impact evaluation. He is known for creative, practical, engaging learning experiences that bridge the gap between knowledge acquisition and workplace application, enabling participants to achieve measurable performance improvement. He's currently serving as a L&D development consultant and oversees corporate social responsibility at Kimberly Ryan Limited. Adedayo leads the design and execution of bespoke learning solutions aligned with organizational goals and competency framework. He has successfully managed end-to-end training projects, supported business growth through proposal development and client engagement, and spearheaded initiatives that have significantly expanded the organization's training and revenue portfolio. So just clap wherever you are for Dio. This is quite a portfolio, if you ask me. So the next on our list is Vivian. So we have male and female for balance. So you have good things coming your way today. So sit tight, fasten your seatbelts. So Vivian is a highly motivated and driven professional with strong expertise in strategic planning, transformational change, and operational efficiency. She's highly disciplined and is committed to delivering value and excellence across various value chains and industries. Vivian has 15 years of professional experience that cuts across human resources management and consulting, business advisory and management, learning and development, and corporate resources manager, leading talent acquisition and learning development strategies at Mohinani Group, Kimberly Ryan Limited, and Stanton Chase. And as a business administration and management specialist at Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, she is a member of few professional bodies, including CPAN and CIPM. Vivian has excellent organizational leadership and interpersonal abilities. She's highly creative with effective communication and a demonstrated aptitude for decision making and problem solving. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our two amazing guests. We will be starting off with Adedayo. Thank you
All
very
right, all right.
much.
Thank you so much, Esther, for that wonderful introduction. So just as Esther said, we were talking about elevating employee experience well-being for a thriving workforce. Yeah. So yeah, this is an interesting topic because this has to do with every one of us. Every one of us have, you know, one or two things to say about our well-being, the well-being of our colleagues, the well-being of our staff, even our own well-being. So when employee feels supported, valued, and cared for, they tend to like work better. I'm sure you agree with me. And employee experience and well-being have become like very, 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 very essential in creating like a motivated, productive, and successful workforce. So not having like a great well-being structure could mar you, could cause you a harm. So this is why we're doing this. This is why we are speaking about this today because of growth. We want to grow all around. So yes, so if I may ask, so to us, let's start with what elevating employee experience is. What is employee experience to us? So on the chat box, you can just type, what does employee experience, what does it mean to you? So please let's have like two persons just type, or you can just unmute and then speak. What does employee experience, what does it mean to you? Let's kick it off from there. Yeah, I want to go. What does employee experience mean to us? Anybody wants to unmute? All right, let's move on. Okay, yeah, so on my screen, we can see that employee experience is the sum of every interaction an employee has with an organization from the first contact to the final exit. So let's assume, we have like this hiring process, and then we've done this interview, and then it's time for resumption. We have this person coming into our company. So at that first instance, we expect to, showcase, that experience to them. So now let me just give you a scenario. I'm going to give you like two scenarios. So yes, we have somebody that that's resumed with us, and this person came into the organization, and then it's more like, okay, this is a new organization. He doesn't know his left from his right. He's just seated, he's at the reception, and then he's wondering, okay, what is happening? What is happening? And then somebody comes in and says, hey, hello, are you here for an interview? And guy is wondering, no, I'm here to resume. You understand? Like, I'm actually here to resume. Like, and somebody else comes again, like, oh, hello, sorry, you understand? Like, okay, what are you doing here? Do you want to see someone? Like, oh, no, I'm here to resume today. So we can say that in a way, like, that experience has kind of failed because there's like no proper planning. But now let's not imagine another organization whereby even before this person has resumed, you've already told like your colleagues, everybody in the organization that we have somebody that is going to be joining us today. His name is this. This is his picture. When it comes to the organization, make sure he feels welcome. You understand? And then this person comes into the organization, and then he's seated, and then the first person that comes and says, "Hey, Chidima, good morning." Understand? Like, how do you know my name? Another person comes in again and says, Chidima, how are you doing? Welcome to the team. Like, oh wow, these people are actually ready for me. So that's more like employee experience. And then when this person joins, you understand, everything is ready for him. The onboarding is smooth. There's already a structure. There's already a process that's been plan to ensure that this person is comfortable. And then, a colleague can even show up and say, you know what, Chidima, let's go for lunch together, you understand? And then the first day, the person like, oh, wow, these people are friendly in this organization. I just hope that it can continue like this. That is what's called proper planning. And again, so one thing HR people do is that we, put these things in our policy so that there'll be fairness, you understand? So we don't want a scenario whereby we are hot and cold. We are hot today, we are cold tomorrow, you understand? So like one person joins because, okay, maybe this person is joining from a reputable organization. You'll be like, no, let's do things differently. Or let's make sure that, you understand. And then you are packaging everything. You are just packaging because of where the person is coming from, or perhaps because of how good the person looks or how very good the person looks. And that is, you understand, there's no structure in place. It's just like, okay, we are hot today and then we are cold tomorrow. So like we need to have like a policy. We need to have like a structure that guides this affair. So yeah, so let's move on. So now physical environment. The workplace, yeah, you need to make sure that, yeah, the workplace is set up. You understand, like, okay, there's the equipment is given. So we can't have somebody joining the team and doesn't have like a work tool. He doesn't even know what to do, and then it's even asking you, sorry, what laptop am I going to use? And I say, you know what, go to the IT team and go to the IT department and get your laptop. No, that is no. You're already making that experience like awful for that person. So yeah, so we have to like have like a structure, a very good structure in place. And again, yeah, so we're talking about collaboration, the digital environment. We also need to have like a tool whereby, people can collaborate, people can talk, people can have like maybe session. It might not be something like too official. So for example, you can have like, okay, Kimberly Ryan Book Club, there's like a group or there's like a channel whereby just like Slack or maybe a WhatsApp group whereby every employee or every colleague, they find themselves in, and then they tend to talk about other things aside from just work. So in this way, we're trying to like ensure that they are catered for in so many other aspects. And again, cultural environment also it goes a long way. The values of the value of the organization, the relationship, and the psychological safety also matters. All right, so understanding well-being. So how do these employees, how do they feel at work? How do we feel at work? So we have employees that are happy. We have these employees that are always happy. They're happy, like, okay, yes, they're happy to be at work. And then we have some employees that are just stressed. You understand? They're just very stressed. And this set of employees, there's like so much workload on them. Understand? You just keep piling up your table, piling up work for them, piling up work for them because they are these people we call yes man, or is there any other terminology for them? Like, okay, just bring it, I will do it. They hardly say no to things, and then they just keep doing it till they break down. And these people, in the long run, they're like, you know what, I can't cope anymore, and they want to like eject from the organization. So we have people that get stressed, and we have people that are completely satisfied with what they do. Oh my God, I love my work. I love what I do. Like, even if I come back, if I come back to Earth again, I would love to do this job that I am doing. My work has like, and some people meaningfulness. My work has like a clear sense of purpose. Like, yes, okay, like they can see like a sense of direction in what they do. You understand? They have the certification. They have, like a career map that they've set out for them. So what are well-being drivers? Why do employees feel the way they feel? What are the factors that influence employee experience and well-being? So these are the factors: inclusive and respectful work environment. So we want a work environment that is inclusive, that is respectful. You understand? We use the right words. We don't use like curse words. We don't talk down on our colleagues. You don't use the word stupid. You don't use the word, you understand? You don't just use certain words for your colleague because it's not even formal. It's not good to use words like that. So flexibility in time and allocation. There are organizations that, because they understand that there are some of their staff that work from a very far distance. They say, okay, if you work from a very far distance, we have 2 resumption time. We have 8 a.m. resumption time. We also have like a 9 p.m. resumption time. So if you resume by 8 p.m., you close by 5. If you resume by 9 p.m., you close by 6. So they've structured these things in place to make sure that they accommodate. They've understood what their staff could possibly be going through, and they've made sure that they've put certain things in place to cope whatever challenges that they're facing. So yeah, achieving work goals, learning something new regularly. So in a workplace where learning is not prioritized, understand, where we have some people feeling stuck. You just feel like, oh, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. And then they're not motivated. It's more like, okay, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. They're bored. And again, the organization is not doing anything to spice things up. So yeah, so these things are, so an organization is not doing anything to spice things up for them. They just feel like, okay, they're just there. They're just in that circle, and they just keep moving around that circle, and there's no room for growth. So these are the factors that influence employee experience. So yeah, so when designing like a well-being, like the question, we want to understand how we can come in. how we can improve these factors, and then we ask certain questions. So, for example, let's use a car for an example. So let's assume you have a car, and then you don't service your car. You understand? Like you understand? You don't just service your car at all. You don't even check. You don't check your car. There will be a time that your car will break down and you won't see it coming, and then it might just mess you up at the worst way possible. So, because we don't want things to happen, we ensure that we put things in place. We ask the right questions because we want to understand how our colleagues, how our staffs, how our people, how they are thinking, and then we want to just know. We want to know if they are doing well, if everything is okay with them. So, we want to ask: are you satisfied with what you are doing at the moment? Does your work have like a clear sense of purpose? Like, we're trying to understand. So this thing can be done maybe quarterly, because you can't just leave them hanging. You want to make sure that they're well served, that okay, they're very okay. Like, do you feel happy at work most of the time? So these are on that kind of question I need to ask. And then you can just put like a what's it called? Like maybe a 1 to 5, where do you like, okay, is it 1? Do you feel happy? Or do you feel happy? It could be 1, or it could be 5. That strongly agree, or you don't agree at all. Do you often feel stressed at work? Am I paid fairly? I receive support and do I receive support and encouragement? Do people appreciate me as a person? Can I trust people in my company? I feel a sense of do I feel a sense of belonging? Does my manager help me succeed? So these are the kind of questions we ask, because we want to know where we can come in as an organization. We want to see how we can help, how we can make things better, how we can make things lighter for them, how we can make them grow, how we can make them happy, how we can even make them very, very satisfied. So we design this kind of questions for them. And then when we get this feedback, we sit back as a team, and then we like brainstorm on it. Okay, this is what it might be, an anonymous way of way of getting questions. We want to understand, and then we sit on it, and then we see what we can do as a team. We try to see how we can make things better, how we can make work, easier for them, better for them. All right. So moving on, key drivers of employee well-being. So we have learning. So in an organization whereby you have staff that learn. You have staff that learn, you understand, they just want to be there. In fact, even if the salary is not even as much as, it ought to, but the fact that they are seeing growth, okay, they are learning, okay, they're in this department today, tomorrow, they're in another department, like, oh, wow, I love working in this place because, like by the time I spend like 3-4 years here, like, oh, I know a whole lot of things. Yeah. So, yes, so achievements, you understand, like, okay, so working in the organization, have they achieved like anything? Like, yeah, so energy, appreciation. Do they even get appreciated enough? You understand? Like, do you see them doing their work and say, oh, Dio, well done, you're doing a very good job. Okay, do this. And then even when you're saying this, you're even saying it openly. You're saying it in meetings, like, oh, Dio, you did a very good job yesterday. Oh, well done. You're appreciating them. The way this gets to them. It gets to them. It does something to them. Fair pay, trust. Like, do you trust people you work for? Do you trust your subordinates? Can you like give them like a task without like micromanaging them? Do you trust them to deliver, well? Again, yeah. Do you support them outside the office? Some people have several. It could be financial issues, it could be emotional issues, it could be certain struggles. But do you support them? Do you just want to know? Do you even want to know what they are going through? Start. So like, okay, number one, we have the economy, we have this. But do you sit down with them and like, okay, you know what? Okay, how are you feeling? I've noticed that you've been coming late. Okay, what's wrong? How can we come in? How can we help? You need to have this sort of conversations with them. This way, they feel like, yes, they're actually part of an organization that cares about them. And then inclusion. Of course, this is something that we've been talking about, inclusion. Do they feel like part? Do they feel part of that organization? So these are the drivers. Like, it can go a long way. It can influence how happy, how stressed, or how satisfied they are in the organization. So we need to do well, as HR people, to ensure that our staff are very motivated. Understand? We do the right things. Do TGIF. Have hangouts. Do think of programs that you feel that these people will be interested in. Do a survey, throw a questionnaire out. Okay, what can we do differently as an organization? What can we do differently as a team? How can we even make things better? Of course, you don't have to take all the suggestions, but then we want to know want to know, want to hear from them, and let's see how we can grow as an organization. Well, of course, we have organizations that have daycare. They have daycare. We have organizations that have like a game room. We have organizations that give lunch. We have organizations because they do all these things to ensure that the well-being of their people is met, and is very, very key to keeping our people, keeping our staff. So why does employee well-being, why does it matter? Understand? We do when we have like a successful plan. Yes, when we have like a successful like well-being structure, it increases productivity, and then we have higher engagement and performance. When a workplace where people are happy, of course, people be happy to work. You understand? Even days that there's bars, you understand, and there's booze, you understand. For those of us that understand my slang, you understand, because of the culture of the organizations, yeah, of course, there's pressure, but then because of the culture, they are still doing the work. They are owning what they are doing, and they are bringing forth results. Attraction. These people that work for you, they go out there on social media. Oh, my company, they do this. Our company, they do that. They give us this. They give us that. And then when people hear this, like, oh wow, I'd like to work in a company like this. You understand? So that's more like, hey, they're like your marketers. When you treat your employees well, they market your organization for you. You understand this? So you don't have to pay them. As long as they are feeling happy, you understand? They just do this willingly. And then retention, you start having like high attrition rates. You understand? People just want to stay. Like the devil I know is better than the angel I don't know. At least, yeah, they're making me laugh. Yeah, at least the payment is okay. You understand? I'd rather just stay here than go to an organization whereby I don't even know what's up. I can go there like this and be scared to even enter the premises. I've had conversations with people that they enter the toilets just to cry. You just go there and cry and cry and cry yourself. When you resume after a short break, and then you're already having anxiety. We have organizations like that. So in an organization where where the well-being of staff like really, really matters, where there's like a policy, where there's like a structure, you understand, that ensures that this thing happens. Like, it goes a long way in productivity, it goes a long way in attraction, it also goes a long way in retention. All right, so now I want to look at just statistics that we got. So the business case for employee well-being, how does this impact the organization? And then you can see from this number that 87% of employees say that well-being benefits influence the choice of employer. And then you say we have on that stat that says 3 times more likely to thrive when employee experience is intentionally designed. Like, it's not like I'm just doing the hot today, a cold today. You understand? Like, there's a structure. Like, when we have a new employer, this is how we go. This is how we do it. Of course, you can improve it. When we have somebody exiting the system, this is the process we go. So you are fair. There's nothing like, okay, because this person is a favorite staff, you are doing this, and then you now have someone that maybe the organization didn't like impact so much in the organization, and then you're not doing this. No, it's not fair, because we are doing this, but then you have your staff seeing these things happen, and then before you don't like it or not, you have people, you have rumors, you have people whispering, and then we don't want that in organization, and that's what it's called, grapevine. Yeah, we have that in organization, and then we don't want that. You get? So yes, we have 41% reduction in absenteeism with structured well-being program. Some people are just be happy to come to work when there's like a very good structure. Like, I no, like, why are you excited to go to work? No, I just like, why not just say, no, I want to go to work. I prefer working. No, I prefer working at work. Like, I prefer going to my place of work to work than stay at home. We have people like that, and that's when the organization, has like a friendly culture, has like a, like a very structured, experience, I don't know, well-being for their staff. So ROI of well-being, companies investing in employee well-being reports 21% higher profitability. Well-being is not a cost, it is a return. Yeah. So if you are investing into the wellness of your staff, don't see it as a cost, see it as a return, because it has a way of coming back to you. You have, like, just like we said, we have staff that will just want to be in the organization, and then you'll be surprised that you see somebody in an organization for like 10 years, 15 years, like, because I love working, I love my job, I love working where I am. I don't have any problem, you understand? Then they're there, like, they're not frustrated, they're not crying, you understand? They get the support system they need. They have even the friends that they have at work, their colleagues are like friends to them. Yeah. So yes, so lastly, retention impacts. Organizations with strong experience see 40% lower turnover. Replacing one employee costs 50 to 200 of their annual salary. So by the time you keep you know, by the time you keep like changing, like replacing your employee, you like tend to spend more, you understand? You pay higher salary. In fact, the stress of getting new person, you can even get someone and then the person doesn't, it's not even as good as, it's not even half as good as the person that left. And then you'll be like, oh my God, okay, let's manage this person for the time being. And then you want to start the whole process again. So we need to invest on the well-being of our people. Investing in the well-being is not a cost, but a return. Just like I've said earlier, it has a way of making us seen out there. It has a way of growing the organization. So so like let me just use an example. So okay, so there's a football team. I'm sure everybody knows of Arsenal. They had a new coach, and then the first two seasons was kind of rough for them, but then they chose to stay with their coach. And then the coach, got a new set of players, like players that were, understand, maybe that were getting old, that were, declining in form, understand. He took them out of the system and then he built a team. Like, and then there was really no change like that. Like he maintained that team, like the first level, he maintained that team. And then like this season or last season, they won the Premier League, you understand? So when you have a team, it's not like you're having somebody new today, you're having another person tomorrow, you understand? You're just changing stuff anyhow. It impacts on your organization. There's a way it has like something it does to you. So it's very, very great to have like the structured well-being. And if you have that and you have people staying in the organization, trust me, the organization will grow. You understand? They already have the experience, they already like have, they have the experience, they have everything, and then they'll always want to contribute. Like, oh, I love this company. They don't see themselves as an employee. They see themselves as a shareholder, as a stakeholder. They see themselves as an owner. They're no longer an employee, they're now an owner. Like if anything happens to the organization, it happens to them. It happens to them. So this is the stage where we want, that's why this is where we want our employees, our staff, our people. This is where we need them to get to. There's more harm in changing employees anyhow than good. So this is where I will stop. So we have like a poll on the screen. We'd like to hear from you. So there's an organization. So how would you rate your organization's current investment in employee experience and well-being? Not a priority. We focus on outputs, not experience. We are beginning to explore it, but have no clear strategy. We have some programs, but they are not embedded. Well-being is central to our culture, and we measure it. So yeah, keep it coming. Let's hear from you. How would you rate your organization's current investment in employee experience and well-being?
All right, thank you very much. Please continue filling the poll. Take your time to fill the poll. It's been quite an insightful session. So take your time, fill the poll, whatever you think is right, just go ahead. While you are doing that, we just want to introduce something that we'll be doing next month, which happens to be our HR roundtable. So this is actually going to be around building career resilience in the era of AI and automation. If you ever felt like AI is ever going to take your job, this is the time for you to come and ask those questions because we'll be having industry professionals that will be talking to us. So this is going to happen on the 2nd of July. The registration link will be in the chat box. Please do well to register, share it with friends and colleagues, share it with workplace so that we can have a lot of people come and learn from these people. I hope we are still putting in our answers on the poll. Please do that. Do that. Yeah. Thank you so much, Uche. I see your thumbs up. Thank you. So while we're still doing that, please don't forget that the registration link for the HR webinar roundtable rather would be in the chat box. It's a virtual roundtable, so you don't need to go anywhere. I mean, it's been raining, so take your time and stay in your house. Drink coffee while at it. So yeah, we'll just get back right into into the webinar. So that being said, I just want to say a big thank you to Dio. That was a very insightful session. I told you guys to fasten your seatbelts, and I hope you did that because we're about to take more flights, right? So we'll just bring in our second facilitator of the day. Vivian, please, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Esther. And thank you very much, Dio. Esther, do you want to please just take us through the results from the poll? Thank you.
There's something showing on the screen. Okay.
Yeah, so the results from the poll, and the question is, how do you rate your organization's current investments in employee experiences and well-being? So 6% chose not a priority. We focus, like they focus on output, not experience. 19% says we're beginning to explore it, but have no clear strategy. 44% says we have some programs, but they are not embedded. And 31 says well-being is centered to our culture and we measure it. Yeah. So that's the results from the
Sorry,
poll
is that
we shared.
41? Okay, thank
31.
you.
Yeah.
31%. I think that's an amazing figure. Thank you so much, Esther, for reading that out. And thank you so much, Dio, for taking us through the first part of the session. I like how you infused, the Arsenal win. I see you. Well done. All right. We'll be jumping right into the well-being strategies. Now, having understood what well-being culture is, what we are trying to achieve basically as an organization with having an organization that has a culture with the right well-being, what are the strategies to put in place to actually drive it? That's what we're going to be looking at in this part of the session. First thing that you want to do, the first strategy you want to have in place is to ensure leadership buy-in. You want to ensure that your leaders are showing, they're actually modeling these behaviors from the very top. And when I say leaders in this conversation, I'm talking about every type of leader, a project team leader, a unit head, executive management, even peer-to-peer, where you have people who are leading projects or groups or assignments or tasks. If you're in any kind of leadership capacity, you want to ensure that you're modeling the right behaviors that drive well-being in an organization. Behaviors like setting boundaries, maybe not sending non-urgent emails after close of work hours, taking your leave when you should, take a break and rest, encouraging respectful conversations in the organization. These kind of behaviors, even though they seem little, have go a long way in driving impacts, in the sense that the team members who are working with these leaders start to model these behaviors, and that is the way culture spreads. This kind of positive culture spreads around the entire organization. Secondly, you want to invest in measurement. Now, alongside measuring KPIs, your financial KPIs, your operational KPIs, you also want to measure your employee experience KPIs. How are your employee experiencing working with you as an organization from every single touch point, right from talent attraction, right from when you're looking for the top talents down to where you're hiring them. If you're having an interview with the candidate and the candidate does not have a good experience, trust me, when you do call them and make an offer, they're going to think twice about that. If at the point of engaging you to come and work with you, where you're actually selling yourself as an organization, you are not putting your best foot forward. The candidates, especially if they are top talents, are going to they're going to think, why should I work with these people who do not think about my well-being? If you're putting interviews at ungodly hours, if you're making the interviews process to be very tedious, where they have to undergo several tedious processes just to get the job, then they start to wonder, how will it be? What will my experience be working with this organization? So for every single touch point that an employee experiences with the organization, you want to ensure that they are having the best of experience, and you're going to be measuring this as you're measuring your other KPIs, your financial KPIs, and all of that. You want to have courageous communications. You want to ensure, like Dayo mentioned, psychological safety is very important. You have employees who are free to give feedback and who are not going to be afraid or fear or have any kind of fear of judgment or any kind of retaliation when they share their feedback on different things. When employees feel safe enough to give feedback, when they feel safe enough and they're able to have conversations with any level of leader or any level of a member of the organization, they will be able to, be more expressive. Creativity is going to flourish because they're going to be more innovative and all of that. And then the last point here is talking about removing systematic barriers. As much as we want to ensure that we have the flourishing well-being culture in our organization, we will be putting into place policies, compliance, governance, and all of these things to make sure that everyone is falling in line. While we are doing that, we also want to make sure that we are looking critically inward to ensure that these policies we are putting in place are not in any way causing any kind of barriers to what we definitely want to achieve. And then the next slide, we're going to be looking at how we close the accountability gap. The accountability gap comes into play when there is no alignment between, there's basically no clarity on who is accountable for well-being, basically, in the organization. When we talk about well-being in organization, most people think it's HR's job. I totally agree because it is the job of the HR to ensure that there's an enabling environment. However, the responsibility of ensuring well-being falls on everybody who has a leadership role to play in the organization. So like I said earlier, the executive management, a manager of a department, the head of a unit, the project lead for a project that you're working in, all of these people are responsible for ensuring the well-being of the team members and the people that you are working with. And we can see on this slide the difference between a manager or a leader who is not accountable and that who is accountable. An accountable manager is able to delegate with clear instructions and with a defined outcome. And an accountable manager is able to have regular checking with your team members, see how they're doing, or you're checking in with them, you're asking about not just about how the project is going, but about how every thing that has to do with them as a person is also, how is that going? You want to know, oh, you came late for this meeting, why? You want to understand why. Is there something wrong at home? Is there something you want to talk about? Is there something stopping you from achieving your goal in this project? So those are the kind of things that come up when you're having check-ins. Those are the kind of things that leaders do to ensure well-being for a well-being culture, basically, in the organization. Setting clear goals, embedding learning into daily team culture. These are ways managers can show accountability. So basically, it is the role of the manager to work with the team members and ensure that they are flourishing in their jobs because there is a well-being culture that is flourishing in the organization. Now, having understood all of that, we'll be looking at an implementation framework. So now we understand what a well-being culture is. We understand what we are trying to achieve because having a good well-being culture, a happiness, initiative culture in the organization is going to drive productivity basically for the organization. So how do we put this into place in practice? First off, you're going to start by an assessment. You want to run some diagnostics and audits to see what is the current state of things in the organization. How do people actually feel? What is our own well-being score in the organization? We can achieve this by running some kind of surveys, employee surveys. You can run pulse surveys. You can conduct exit interviews. And sometimes you don't need to wait for people to exit. You can conduct stay interviews as well. People who are still in the organizations, you want to ask them, why are you still here? Why are you still working with us? You want to ask questions like, would you even recommend someone to work with our organization? Those are the kind of questions you want to ask to ascertain the level of well-being in the organization. When you have done this assessment, you're going to get a whole lot of data from the kind of questions that you ask, and you're going to analyze that data and use that data to then go into step 2, which is to design a bespoke intervention for your organization to make sure that you're driving the well-being culture, the positive well-being culture that you want to achieve in your organization. And some interventions could be having just going beyond just a TGIF to ensure you have an employee assistance wellness program for your employees, ensuring that you have a mentoring program, a coaching program, making sure that there are counseling and counseling services available for your employees for when they have any kind of mental stress and they want to talk to someone, because well-being covers various dimensions of an individual. You're talking about financial, we're talking about physical, emotional, mental, physical, like basically every dimension. So when you're designing these interventions, you want to touch every part of this dimension so that the employee feels wholesome in terms of well-being. For financial, for example, I know when it comes to that aspect, we all think about a salary boost or something, but maybe because there are several factors that have to deal with that, you don't necessarily have to jump into that right away. You could organize financial literacy workshop for your employees, teach them how to manage their money. You could organize maybe a cooperative system for your employees where they have access to loans and now have access to funds for emergency emergency things that come up outside of the workplace. So these are ways you can develop and design interventions that will drive well-being for every employee across every dimension of their well-being. So when an employee feels, when I get to work, if I'm stressed, I can actually just call up, use my access card to get to a psychologist or something to have a chat with. Or if I have some financial issues, I can access loans through my workplace. Those are the kind of things that make an employee it helps to reduce the level of stress in an employee or for employees. After designing these interventions, you want to now go ahead to deploy them. And deploying them comes in different stages. First, you want to ensure your managers and your leaders are trained properly to be able to manage the employees that you work with. First of all, to make them understand their roles as leaders, help them to first also take care of themselves as people so that they're able to take care of the people that they work with, teaching them how to have empathy, teaching them how to communicate clearly and professionally with the people that they work with. And then deploying all of these beautiful interventions that we have designed and making them accessible to the employees, making employees understand that they have access to so many things, running all these programs, having structure in place, as Dayo had mentioned earlier, to show that maybe every last Friday of the month is football day. Let's go outside and exercise. Let's have some physical activity to, just to create some kind of bond amongst the team and reduce the stress level amongst employees. So deploying these interventions means creating a structure, creating learning interventions for people who are championing it, and making sure that employees have access to it. They know that they have access to it and they're able to use it. And then lastly, you want to measure. You want to always have some kind of measurement. Like we mentioned earlier, we talked about measuring the outcomes of these things. You want to check once in a while, maybe quarterly, maybe biannually. How are these interventions, these well-being interventions and initiatives we have put in place, how are they actually impacting the employees? And more importantly, how are they impacting the business as a whole? Are people more engaged? Its productivity level, has that increased? What is the revenue per employee? Has that increased since we started doing since we started introducing counseling sessions or mentoring or coaching? Have people improved? So you're measuring these things, and as you're measuring, you're evaluating and you're improving where necessary. Now, moving on, we are going to be looking at what are you going to take away to your organization after this conversation? What are the key things that you're going to implement? What are the key things that you're going to use to drive well-being culture in your organizations? First thing to understand is that employee experience is not a soft skill, or it is actually a strategy that you need to put in place. Like I mentioned earlier, employee experience from every touch point, from talent attraction to talent exit, it's once the employee starts to have that positive and amazing experience, it's not far-fetched when the person starts to also, when that whole experience starts to impact positively in their own outcome, in their own productivity, in their own engagement. You find employees who work long-term in organizations. Sometimes it's not necessarily because of the financial compensation, it's because of the wholesome experience that they have working in that organization. The second thing you want to take away from here is that leaders set the tone. As I mentioned earlier, a leader in this context could be anyone who is driving or basically leading a team in any shape, way, or form, as up right from the executive management, they have to have that buy-in to know that this is the way we want to run our organization in terms of well-being, so that our employees can feel wholesome enough to put in every 100% in their job, which is going to impact the bottom line. At the end of the day, that's why the business is in. That's why the company is in business, to drive bottom line and to make profits. If your employees are not happy, if they are not fulfilled in their entire life, in things that you may think do not concern you, in their social lives, in their personal lives, it's going to impact your business, and they're not going to be able to function properly to drive success for your business. Third thing you want to take away from here is that L&D must drive behavioral change. Now, we talked about training people who are championing this course. So anyone who's going to, aside from the human resource manager or the HR person, if you're a people manager of any shape, way, or form, if you're leading any team, you have to have the right training that would impact your behavior, so that people are modeling that behavior, and you're also using that behavior to drive the change that you want to achieve in the organization. Context matters. It is very important for you to understand the uniqueness of your organization, because what works for employer A may not necessarily work for employer B. So you need to understand the context of your organization and then design bespoke interventions that will suit your organization. Accountability is the bridge. Accountability is very key. We talked about the accountability gap. When there is no clear alignment on who is responsible for driving well-being, there's going to be that gap, in the sense that nobody knows who's responsible for this. Because in all honesty, HR may not be able to drive the entire culture. It's very impossible, because culture has to do with people that are in that space. So everyone who is responsible has to be held accountable to make sure that there is no gap. And then you have to measure what matters, because it's only what you measure that is what is important to you, and that is what you're going to be able to improve upon. You're going to be able to evaluate when you measure those things. So you want to measure your employee experience outcomes and indicators, not just your financial indicators or your operational KPIs. You also want to measure employee experience. How are my employees experiencing my recruitment process? How are they employing training? Are they enjoying the training program? Am I actually training them in the right thing, or am I just throwing out a blanket training for the entire team? So those are the kind of indicators you want to check from time to time, and you want to measure to ensure that you are doing the right thing. And we'll be looking at how do we know it's working? So when you've done your assessment, you've done your data analysis, you have designed so many beautiful interventions, people are going out for, people are going on leave or going on vacation, people are able to go for different kind of wellness programs that you have organized for the team. There are financial training and workshops for your team. But how do you actually measure that all of these interventions that you have put in place is working and is impacting positively on your bottom line, impacting on your productivity? There are so many ways we can do that, but we're looking at a few of them here. Employee engagement score. You're going to be tracking quarterly how your employees are doing. How are they engaged in the organization? You want to have employee pulse surveys, stay interviews, exit interviews. When people are leaving, you want to ask them, why are you leaving? What did we not do right? Why are you leaving us? So those are the kind of things you check once in a while, and you measure to understand how your well-being culture is actually working in the organization. Second thing you want to check is voluntary turnover rate. You want to compare a 12-month period of voluntary turnover rate. If your turnover in a year is, say, 50%, you want to measure it the following year and see that there's at least a 20% reduction in that figure, because you would have put into place some key initiatives to drive employee retention. So you're going to be measuring in the following year, and then you're going to be asking yourself critical questions as a HR person or as a people leader. What are the things that we put in place to drive employee retention? Did the initiatives work? Were our employees happy enough to stay with us longer than they used to? And when you run this survey, when you run this metric in terms of doing this checking this voluntary turnover rate, you're now understanding if in actual fact your well-being initiatives are actually working. Next thing you want to check is absenteeism rate. You want to calculate the days lost per employee per quarter and checking it every quarter. You're doing some kind of measurement to see how are my employees staying absent from work. Are they taking any single opportunity to avoid coming to work because the workplace is a very stressful environment? Any little thing they're calling in to say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't come to the office today. You're losing man hours, you're losing productivity. So you want to measure, you want to look at that critically and measure how whatever initiatives you put in place, maybe it's flexible working hours, hybrid working modes, so kind of remote work modes, or different type of initiatives to manage absenteeism, and you want to check if that is actually working. Then you want to check manager effectiveness. The trainings that you have given to your managers, how are they working? You're going to do 360 feedback to understand how are my managers and my leaders actually faring. Are they able to champion and drive this change that we want to achieve? Are they championing this well-being culture in the organization that we want to achieve? You have to be checking that, because if your managers and the leaders basically if they don't have that vision that you have as a leader or as a HR manager with this goal of driving well-being culture, then there's a gap already. We talked about the accountability gap earlier. And then most importantly, for the business, you're checking productivity index. All the beautiful initiatives and strategies you've put in place to drive well-being, is that actually impacting productivity? Are the end users of your products, maybe your customers or your clients, when they have interactions and engagement with your employees, are they happy? Are people buying your products more? Because if you have, let's say, a showroom or a customer care help desk, are people more disgruntled because they're speaking to even more disgruntled employees? These are the kind of things you want to check with the productivity index. And then we have the ENPS employee, the ENPS, I think that's the employee net promoter score. Yeah. How much of a promoters, how much are your employees based work? Are they like, not my office? Yeah, that place. You want to work there, don't go there. Is that what your employees are doing? Or are they like your brand ambassadors? Like, did you get a call from my office to work there? You should take that job. You're going to have fun. You're going to enjoy it. You want to understand if your employees are brand ambassadors for you, or if they are disgruntled people who are going about tarnishing the image of your organization. You can do this by surveys, maybe in the stay interviews or the exit interviews. You can ask questions like, would you recommend someone to come and work for this organization? Would you come back? If the person is exiting, you can ask a question like, would you return if you're given the opportunity to come back and work in this organization? You can also do this by having an alumni community of the organization. People who have exited, you can have a community where there's an alumni community, you're engaging them, you're getting feedback from them, and you see that even though they have left the organization, they're still very much loyal to the organization. So these are the things, not all exhaustive. There are so many more of them, but for the sake of time and for this webinar, these are some ways you can check if your employee well-being initiative and culture is actually working for you. And at this point, I'll be taking questions and any maybe feedback, comments from anyone. But I just want to end with a very famous quote by Richard Branson. It's a very simple quote, but it's something that is very, very impactful. If you take care, he said, if you take care of your employees, they will take care of your business. And it's just that simple. If your employees know that they, as the first touch point of your business, are taken care of, they will take care of the business in return. And once the business is taken care of, there is productivity, there is employee retention, there is fantastic employee engagement, there is brand loyalty, there's brand promotion. It is a win-win for everyone. So I'll be taking questions, comments, and any kind of feedbacks at this point. Thank you very much for sticking around.
Thank you so much, Vivian. Thank you. That was really, really nice. So yes, you can clap. Please go ahead and clap. You just gained a crash course. We're supposed to be sharing certificates at this point. if you look at it. But yeah, just let it go. Just let it go. Yeah. So if you have questions, feedbacks, just put it in the chat box. Please do that. And we're just here to reiterate the HR roundtable we'll be having in July is going to be nothing short of amazing. We have industry professionals. The registration link is already in the chat box. Please do well to share your what you've learned from the webinar, and also take a minute to fill out our feedback forms, as it is quite important to us so that we'll know what to do better. Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you to our facilitators, Vivian and Adidayo. You guys did amazing, and we're looking forward to having more and more of this. If you have something to say, please do well to put it in the chat box. We look forward to hearing from you, your thoughts, what you thought about the webinar. If you have any questions and any key takeaways from the webinar at all, please do well to do that. Thank you very much. I can see you. Can we get a recording of the session? We would see if that is possible. Chidima, we'll see if that is possible. But for now, key takeaway, thank you so much for asking. We'll see if that is possible. And if it is, of course, by all means, we'd love to share everything that we've learned today. If you have any key takeaways, and please do also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are here for you. LinkedIn, the links will be in the chat box. Please do also follow us on Instagram, on LinkedIn. We do everything people, business strategy, people strategy, HR advisory, learning and development that is tailored to the needs of your organization, firms, and your concerns in general. That is what we do. We are strategic partners that you can definitely trust. Please do well to do that. Reach out via LinkedIn. A couple of us here are actually very big on LinkedIn, so please do reach out. And thank you so much, Adedoyin. Thank you. It's been very impactful, very simple, and great presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Thank you for your feedback, Adedoyin. Thank you for even joining. Thank you for taking the time to still be here. Oh, yes, we will be getting the recordings and the slides. You should be clapping for Kimberly Ryan at this point. Please do well to be clapping. We're giving you these things for free. So thank you so much again. Your presence here shows that we're doing a great job. Thank you so much. So in the absence of any questions, any feedbacks, or anything else, we just want to say thank you to everyone that has joined the session and is still here till the end, and also to our very amazing facilitators, Vivian and Didayo. We would call it a day. So we'll close the curtains. Do well to take care of yourself, and thank you, Fumilayo. It's a very rainy Wednesday. Please grab your coffee and your duvet if you're working from the office. Do well to grab your coffee. We are sending love all the way from here. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the day.